Have you ever asked yourself why Andy Warhol is the most popular fine artist within our collective culture? Not necessarily the best, but almost anybody can recognize a Warhol. Why does music endure? Why do certain images endure? Why do certain concepts endure? Is there something different? Is there something unique? Is there something common about them that allows them to be remembered? That's the question. I have this theory. It's called block theory, and it explains why we notice and remember everything. The rules of block theory are simple: concentrated, simple, monolithic, large, massive, but most importantly, an instantly perceivable emotional connection, repeated. It relates to everything that we do in every aspect of human endeavor. The Mona Lisa, the VW bug, Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers, the Washington Monument, a Rubik's Cube, the Superman crest, the pyramids, the Capitol Records building, the Golden Arches, Heya, the St. Louis Arch, the Twin Towers, a political slogan, advertising, industrial design, journalism, teaching, architecture, public speaking, any piece of music, any concept, any visual image. The only reason it stands out, enters the mind, and endures in the mind, or endures in time, is because it follows the simple laws of block theory. Think of it like an arrowhead. All information is an arrow. It's the arrowhead, primal, simple, magnetic, that carries the information into the mind, and it's the shaft that causes it to stick there. We are somehow evolutionarily wired to accept complex information when it is related to something that we can instantly perceive and hold on to.
We're so overloaded with information that we can't really take the world in around us and everything it has to offer and what all the people around us have to offer. The news cycle is punishing. Hurricanes, floods, mass shootings, bombings. We don't watch television anymore, we binge it. So how do we cut through when we are all being hammered by so much? You guys feel this? You guys feel this in the audience, that like you can't cut through? Yeah? This is my friend's cell phone. We are all addicted to our phones. I like how he's up to date on Facebook. Okay? We constantly feel the need to check in. And when we do, we make the world invisible around us. We have to find a way to cut through and be visible again, despite all that's coming at us. My idea is the codification of what I call the primordial laws of blocks. Blocks explain why we pay attention to everything. I didn't invent them. I just wrote them down, I documented them, I codified them. And they apply to everything that you could think of, everything that you do. Art, architecture, business plans, proposals, resumes, emails, anything that you can do, you can stand out at will and with intention every time, rather than hope, luck, chance, or years. Blocks get you seen. A block is something that is bold, singular, and repetitive. And it is how all of us, whether we're aware of it or not, prefer to take in information. Blocks are what get us seen. It is a primordial law of how our brains are hardwired, and I'm going to explain to you how it works. So this is what I call my dilution cloud, and here's how it works. Whenever we're overwhelmed with something, when we ingest too much of something, well, what do? If we eat too much, if we drink too much, we reject it, okay? So what we're doing, and whether we realize it or not, we all have these internal spam filters. And as all of this stuff is coming at us, we're kind of trying to always push it out, push it away. And as we're trying to push it away, we're kind of trying to connect to it, we're kind of giving it the hand. At the same time, technology is improving, and more of it is being pumped at us, and very, very little is getting through. As we get above basic physiological survival needs, like food, shelter, belonging, we get into more complex needs, like aesthetics, self-actualization. When we have the basics taken care of, we can be who we're meant to be. We can truly transcend into who we are by self-actualizing. Well, this becomes nearly impossible to do if you can't get attention, because all of this content that swirls around you, it dilutes you. Maslow also said that recognition was one of the primary motivators of human beings. And when we can't get recognition, when we can't get people to look at us, internal destruction ensues. Pain. There's actual psychological manifestations that come from choice overload. And I found that they're the same for invisibility. First off is anxiety. If we feel like we're not going to be able to cut through, we're anxious about, well, I just finished this project. Is anyone going to care? Am I going to be able to get it out there? So we have anxiety from invisibility. Next is paralysis. If we don't think we're going to be able to cut through, we won't even try. We'll be frozen. And ultimately, this results in mental anguish and depression. So blocks. I take the word blocks from what happens when you put a toy block in front of a baby. They will be absolutely transfixed and mesmerized by it. A toy block is large to a baby, and its simple form with an intricacy inside it will mesmerize their attention. But as we get above elementary learning, and as we get above elementary school, we stop communicating to each other in elementary ways. But here's what's new here. Adults crave this block communication even more than babies and toddlers do. And if you start communicating with it, you can magnetize attention no matter what you do, like a tractor beam. Blocks get you seen. Okay, so when it comes to life and death, human beings always use blocks. Every warning label, street sign, children's crossing sign, stop sign, it's the same formula. A simple monolithic shape, a triangle, a circle, a square, a hexagon, a rectangle, with something that takes up the entirety of it, a bold central image that we can understand completely without thinking. That's what a block is. Bold, singular, monolithic, something that you don't have to process and you instantly understand what it is. We use this all the time when it comes to life and death. Blocks get you seen. Okay, this applies to art. If you were to go up to the average person on the street that knew nothing about art, nothing, and they might not know a Picasso, but they would know an Andy Warhol and a Vincent van Gogh in terms of what iconically stands out in our mind. So why? It's because Van Gogh and Warhol used blocks in all of their major works. Here with the Marilyn Monroe, we see a bold central image, like the warning label, that takes up the entirety of the simple monolithic form, and we understand it before we have a chance to think. So it's blocks that we stop and notice. It's blocks that get us seen. So how does a block work? Any bold, singular, repetitive, monolithic thing, image or concept that is put in front of us and repeated will make its way iconically into the mind in a matter of seconds or minutes rather than years or luck. So it really, really is blocks that get us seen. Okay, so Van Gogh did this in every painting he ever created. A man with a cob pipe, a tree, a pair of boots, sunflowers, a cafe, a starry night, a bedroom. Again, the image takes up the entirety of the canvas, and we understand what it is before we have a chance to think. It's blocks that get us seen. Paul Gauguin, Van Gogh's one-time roommate, another brilliant, masterful Impressionist painter, tended toward more dispersed imagery, even though he used vibrant color. And even though he's considered one of the great master Impressionists, he does not live iconically in our minds the way that Van Gogh and Warhol do. When we lead with the busy, we repel the mind. Blocks get us seen. Okay, so this applies to words and concepts. Martin Luther King's famous speech, "I Have a Dream," of just over 1,600 words. He repeats a block when it comes to words is a short, repetitive phrase, again, like the warning label or the Van Gogh, that you can instantly understand before you have a chance to think or before you have a chance to process. So in this relatively short speech of just over 1,600 words, he says the words, "I have a dream," or "let freedom ring," approximately every 85 words. And it's the reason we remember the speech, and it's the reason we remember the sentiment of the speech. So we can teach with blocks. This is how human beings prefer to take in all information. If you put a conceptual block or phrase next to complicated information that you're trying to teach somebody, they will appreciate that information more, and they will have an easier time retaining it. So once again, blocks get you seen. Winston Churchill, June 4th, 1940, went on the BBC in London to galvanize British support for the war, in which he gave what is now coined as his famous "We shall fight" speech. He said, "We shall fight. We shall fight in the landing grounds. We shall fight in the beaches. We shall fight in the streets. We shall fight." That speech is known for mobilizing the British populace to stay the course in the war. So blocks, a short phrase that we can instantly understand repeated, do more than help us learn or just take in information. They can motivate us to do incredible things. Blocks get you seen. In 2012, actress Jessica Alba started The Honest Company with one bold, simple, monolithic block to sell safe, non-toxic products to parents trying to safeguard their children in an ever-increasing toxic world. With this one bold, simple, monolithic block, she went from 10 million in sales in 2012 to 150 million in sales in 2014 to despite hiccups and lawsuits, over 300 million in sales last year. So today, to communicate with all this information swirling around us, we need singular monolithic blocks that correspond to the emotional needs of our intended audience. Blocks get you seen. Blocks get us seen. All right? Can you all say that? Blocks get you seen. Okay, good. We've discussed art, paintings, music, business, culture. Blocks apply no matter your endeavor. It is my hope that you will all use blocks to be a better catalyst in the world. Thank you for listening. All right. Thank you.